Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to this little crash course on how to get into some FPV flying for really cheap. All you're going to buy out of this is a receiver, the camera and transmitter, and your nice little drone here. So just for a little price rundown, you can get these for about $20 New Zealand, you can get these for about $30 New Zealand, and these for also about $20 New Zealand. So that brings your price up to about 70 bucks. That's pretty cheap to get into FPV. It is basic, but that's all you need to start. So first off, let's open up the quad. In this little quad unit, you see I've got the red one. It's just got the little quad here, got the controller here, and then it's got some spare blades and a USB charger. Manual hidden underneath. Now, batteries aren't included with this, so you're going to need to pick up a couple of AA batteries to chuck into the controller. The battery for the little quad is included. It's got a little switch on the front of the controller, and you just got to go to full throttle, zero throttle, in order to bind to your little quad. When you're bound, the blue and the red light will stop flashing. Now let's add the camera. The camera comes in a small cardboard box. The camera and a nice foam with the instruction manuals at the bottom. I've left links to these items in the description below. This is a 3-in-1 FPV camera, and you can also change which channel it's on depending on where you are. And if you've got other people who are also flying FPV cameras around so that you don't interfere with the air signal. First we'll start off with just taking off this little case. It's as simple as unclipping it. There's one clip on either side and you just push it and it falls off. You won't really need this after this because it'll just get in the way. Next we're going to mount the camera on top and solder the wires on. Now we'll just bend the aerial up and to the side so that it's out of the way of our little camera here. We're going to have to put something down so that nothing on here will be able to short out any circuits on here. I've chosen just to use a little bit of gaff tape because I always seem to end up with a little bit left over from work. So I'm just going to line it up to here, see around about how big it is, put this onto the bottom of the camera and wrap it around. Next we're going to cut this plug off the end of this camera because there's no plugs on here for us to connect it to. So we're just going to cut off just enough so that the plug could be reused in a future project, but also enough so that we can easily solder it on and this not get in our way. Untwist this wire, get some solder out. This wire is really thin, so I'm able just to strip it just that little bit with my fingernail. But you can use anything you want, something sharp like a knife or a Stanley knife or something. Now we're just going to lightly tin the ends. Make sure there's no ferry bits sticking out that can create a short circuit once it's soldered on, so give them a little bit of a twist. Get a bit of solder going. Make sure you're soldering on a surface that it's okay if solder hits the ground, because you wouldn't want this solder to get stuck in your carpet because it can leave a burn. Now that we've lightly tinned the edges, we're ready to solder it to the circuit board of this little quadcopter. Now the easiest way to see which one at the back here is the correct wire is just to line the plug up, and the red is your positive and the red is on the left here, so if I turn it around the red is on the left here. Now I'm just going to line it up and lightly touch it with the end of my soldering iron. It's not going to be a very good solder, but that's okay, because as long as it holds, it'll be conductive. I'm able to lift this whole thing up with this solder, so I know that that's going to be good enough for any little crashes and bumps it's going to hit. Now the camera is securely soldered on. Now I'm going to remove the lens cap from the camera. and the soldering iron so I don't burn myself accidentally while attaching the camera. Now, before we finalise where the placement for this camera is going to be, we're just going to quickly plug it in and test it out to make sure it's working. This is a homemade receiver I've made, which has got a large battery on it so I don't have to charge it often. It's got a DVR and it's got a 5.8 GHz wireless receiver. I'm just going to plug the battery for the drone back into the unit, which should also power up the camera. And I can verify that it's been powered up because it's got little notations made on its little screen there. Now, all I've got to do is find which channel it is on my wireless receiver. And as you can see, it's connected quite easily. The channels can easily be found on this. I would just cycle through the channels until you've found a clear signal. Now we're ready to mount this camera onto the quad a lot more securely. I'm going to use hot glue for this. Pick the spot on the board where you're going to mount your camera. Make sure that the antenna for the drone is out of your way and it doesn't interfere with your camera. You can use just that amount of hot glue, but I'd use more because I know that crashes can be very tough. I'm also going to be putting hot glue on the connectors at the back where I've soldered, just to help them stay there that little bit more. Now be careful you don't overdo it with the hot glue, because every gram counts on such a small device like this. Now let's test it out and see how well it works. Once you've picked your wireless receiver of choice, be it a small homemade wireless receiver, your little one that you've brought off the internet, or even some Fat Shark FPV goggles, you're ready to start flying. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, you can also just buy it already pre-made like that, so you don't have to solder, so that's a really good option if you're not too keen on soldering. Links to the 3 items and also the already made one in the description below. They're all on Banggood, so they're pretty good prices.